So we have a cover for the jack to keep water off. Under here, these are your switches. There's a light switch, and this is to raise and lower the jack. There's also a plug where you can put the hand crank in, so you can manually crank that if there's no power. Under here, of course, are your propane tanks. Okay, your propane tanks, this is where your regulator is located. This lets you select which tank you're going to use. There's a little pointer there. You can point left or right. And right now it's green, as you can see. So we do have gas in the left tank. When the tank runs out, that'll turn red. And you can remove these and get them refilled. You'll also see there's two notches in the lock bar. And when you're taking the tanks on and off, for the cover to fit properly, as you can see, one tank has to be in the outer notch and one tank has to be in the inner notch, and that'll space these correct so that the cover slides over properly. Now when you're not using the RV, it's a good idea to shut the tanks off. There's also below, there's a battery shut-off switch, and that'll shut off the DC batteries out front here, just so they don't go dead while the unit's being stored. That'll prevent any discharge. But anytime you're towing or you're camping, you're going to have the switch on. Obviously, it's just really made for storage. One more thing I'll just point out to you. So I'm looking down below the frame, and I'm going to zoom in. You're going to see here there's a circuit breaker. So that little black dot, that is the reset button for the circuit breaker. There's another one below as well. And those are for, well, one of those runs your slide rooms and the other runs the rest of the camper. So if you have an issue with something not working, you may want to check those. So on the side here, you'll see the water connections for the unit. This has 3 ports on it, and they're labeled. You'll see this top port says tank flush. Well, that's for flushing out your black water tank. So after your black tank's full and you empty it, you can connect a hose there in order to flush that tank. This one on the left is your city water connection. That's the one you'll leave connected while you're at the campground. And this port on the right is the antifreeze inlet, and that's used during winterization process. That's to pump the antifreeze into the system. There's also, up here you'll see there's a cable port, so if you're going somewhere with cable, you can connect that in. Down below here you'll see there's your waste port along with 3 valves. The black valve, of course, that's for the toilet tank. You'll also see a gray valve here and then another gray valve here. This unit's got 2 gray tanks. There's this first valve, that's for your bathroom, sink, and shower. This second gray valve is for your the galley tank, gray tank number 2, which just is the wastewater from your kitchen sink. Basically, it has a dedicated tank. Also outside here, you'll see your water heater and the outside shower. The water heater, this is gas electric. This is controlled from the inside, so you don't really do anything out here. Once we get inside, I will show you how to turn that on and off. There's also a vent here for your furnace. There's a vent up here for the stove. In here you'll see there's like a little flap, and you have to kind of open this flap up like that if you're going to cook inside. Then when you're not using it, you snap it shut. It's kind of tight. On the side of the unit you'll see there's a circle hole, and that is the manual override for these slide outs. So you'll see those in various locations around the unit, and that's to open and close these manually if there's a power failure. This is where your electric cord goes in over here. This is your freshwater tank fill, which you probably will not be using at the campground, but this is if you wanted to be self-contained. You can fill your water tank via that port. And underneath the unit, you'll see a white valve, and that's to drain any unused fresh water from the system. There's a, you'll see a button here, and this is to lower those rear stabilizer legs. You can also manually crank those. If there's a power failure, you'll see that there's a rubber cap right here. And if you pop that rubber cap off, that will allow you to use a drill or a ratchet, and you can lower these. You have to do it on both sides. So there is only one button that lowers both jacks, but there is 2 motors, and they have a limiter, so if one touches first, it will automatically shut off. This is the another override for the slide out if you had to run that manually. This is to lower that spare tire. You'll see another circle here for the front slide room. There's some ports over here. This is electrical if you wanted to, you know, plug something in or hook up a TV. There's a cable port. You'll also see a button here, and that is to lower those front stabilizer legs. Here you'll see an outside spray port. It's got hot and cold water, and there's a hose with that so that you could run hot and cold water outside if you like. Okay, next we'll be going inside. Now right now I have the awning extended all the way, and this is great for a sunny day. If it's windy or stormy, you're going to want to close this thing up. Don't leave it out and risk it. You can manually lower this if it's a light rain. To do that, grab it right here, and you're just going to pull it straight down, and then you tighten this knob. And get the knob tight, and now you can see we've created some pitch, and that's good for light rain to keep water. You can do that on both sides of this awning to lower it. But if it's a heavy rain, you're going to want to close this thing. Be careful with it. Normally these knobs, you leave them loose, and that allows this to kind of flex and move around a little as it's needed, you know, as you're going through. So the steps, make sure the door's open all the way for your steps when you open and close these, because you don't want it to rub on the door. You see these just lift in, and then you would close the door. When you lower them, this little pin, you can pop that pin out to adjust the legs. So right now I have 4 holes. Depending on the ground, you may have to adjust those so that the steps are flat and they don't rock. The first time you close the door, you want to look down here that there's adequate clearance, because as you can see, if you have the step too high, it's going to hit the door, and you don't want to damage any of that. So just the first time you close the door, make sure that you don't have the step up too high, and once you see that you got a gap down there, you're pretty much good to go. Okay, inside the unit is your main control panel. This is used to basically run the slide outs, water heater, lights, and things like that. So there is the master switch on the upper left here, and basically this panel is dead until you turn on the master, and then it lights up blue. Up here you'll see these are your holding tank gauges. These are empty right now, but as you have water in your system, you'll see those gauges start to indicate the water level. These is a continuous monitor, so you don't come over and push the button like on the older system. This just continuously monitors the tank. Most of these buttons are self-explanatory. You know, there's a couple lights on here, entry light, porch light, step light, aisle light. The aisle light's down there. The step light, there's another one of those outside by the, you know, where you'd walk in and out of the unit in order to light that up. The awning light, as you know, that's the LED that's under the awning. And, you know, once you've turned that on, you can then use the dimmer up here to change the brightness on those lights. But just, you know, this has to be on first before you can use the dimmer system. This is the monitor for the solar. This really is set up these are made to recharge a battery if you're off grid. And you know, it's not used right now because, you know, we don't have there's no battery on this system, so you can just disregard that. It's switched off for the time being. Down here, back to the main, you'll see you got electric water heater and gas water heater. So you can use your water heater on either fuel. You can run it on propane or electric. There's also a button here for tank heater. Tank heater is not for hot water. Tank heater is the underbelly heater. If it goes below freezing, you switch that on, and that's to warm the tank so they don't hopefully freeze up on you. And then down here, these are your 3 slide outs, and then these are, you know, those are for the awnings. This unit, of course, has 2 awnings, a front and a rear, so this will open and close those awnings. Down below, these are light switches. There's, you know, various light zones you can switch on and off inside this unit. These are all LED back here too, so you know, you don't gotta worry about changing the bulbs out or anything. But there are a couple lights like this one. This has a switch directly on it, so just reach up in order to turn that on and off. You'll see over here there's some accent lights as well, and there's a button. These lights, if you push once, there's like a blue night light mode. And if you hold it down, then it goes to bright white mode. So it can do either. It can do blue or white. A couple of those are located in the front bedroom area as well. The chairs we got back to back with the strap, that's for travel. When you close the slide outs, these are very close back here. So just make sure that these are tucked against the wall before you bring the slide outs in to prevent any, you know, damage. There is a strap that goes around those chairs. And when you're traveling, we'll have those latched up so that they're, you know, so that they're secure. There is a leaf on this table. There's like a little, this slides out. There's a strap under there as well in order to secure that for travel. So down here, the fireplace. So you'll see on the bottom, it looks like there's little buttons, and these are touch buttons. You basically just touch them with your finger. When you first turn it on, you'll see on the upper corner here, you can set your temperature. So I can set it to, you know, 80 if you want, or you know, it goes all the way up to 99. Not that you would want it that high, but it goes to 99, and then it goes to on all the time mode. Then it goes to off, and then it starts at 41, and you can go up to your temperature. So if you go past where you want it set, you'll have to go back to 41 and then bring it up. So, you know, if you put that on 68, yeah, that's probably a comfortable temp. And I'm just pushing this this little button that looks like a thermometer, and that's how you change the temperature. You can also change the flame. So this might be hard to see in the camera, but you can have like a blue, a yellow, or a mix. And you can also change the dimmer, so you can shut the flame off or the image of the flame off. You can adjust that as well and touch that main button, that shuts it off. Heat comes out right here on the top. That's where the actual heat will come out of that thing. So there is a ground fault outlet here. You know, if something gets wet, it'll shut off the power. There's a propane leak detector and carbon monoxide detector. That's down there on the ground. You got extra outlets over here. These you just kind of pull up. There's a switch on the stove for, there's like a night light feature with the knobs. There's also an oven light. Kind of neat, there's an oven light in this one. So when you go to use the stove, remember, open that flap on the outside. You're going to turn the exhaust fan on. And there's a light here as well. And you're going to open the glass cover. And you turn this to high. And this is your sparker. So I'll light all of these up here. Just going to turn them on. So this sparker, this you just rotate clockwise until it starts. This hasn't been running in a while, so there's air. That's why it didn't light right away. But you know, you turn it to high, rotate the knob, that lights your burners. If you're going to use the oven, you're going to turn this to that first little indicator. You can see it. It looks like a little flame. And you have to then push this knob in. This is the only knob that pushes in. So you're going to push that in. And then you're going to turn that knob. Let me see if I can do this. So I'm going to hold the knob in. And I'll give this a couple cranks. Same thing. Sometimes this will take a little time to light. So just continue to hold the knob and then, okay, there we go. That time it sparked. So now you're looking at the pilot light. So you don't have to reach in there with a match. The rotating igniter will take care of that. So you keep holding it 20 seconds and then you can finally set your temperature and your main burner will come on. When you're through with this, you go all the way to off and that shuts it down. Okay, make sure this is cooled before you close the lid up. Okay, fridge, there is a little lock here, okay, and we'll use that when we're driving it. And inside here you'll see the controls for the fridge, and this is where you would change the temperature. You can also turn the fridge off. And you have to hold the button. If you hold this for 10 seconds, that shuts it off, and you'll see it'll blink off. And it says right there, it says to turn off, you hold for 10 seconds. So that's how you turn that on and off. Okay. All right, there's a light switch here for the ceiling lights. There's also, you'll see there's a couple more accent lights over here. There's also a switch by the bedside, and there's like a little night light that comes on over the pillows, and that's how you turn that on. These little latches here, I put a label here just to remind you, but these are, see, they kind of pull out a little bit, so you know, when you're moving, we'll have them latched up. You know, to open them, you kind of got to do that. Honestly, once you park this, you could unscrew those and take them off. You really don't need to leave them on there if you're not going to be moving the RV. Okay, up front, you got the bedroom TVs located here. I put the remote control in the drawer for that TV. There's a couple more lights over here. 2 more light switches here in the bathroom. So there's 2, there's like a vanity light, and then there's just a ceiling light, and then we put the knobs on here so you can raise and lower these things. And there's the button to turn the fan on if you like. So in the shower, these doors are they're magnetic. So if they've been sitting a while, sometimes they're stick. You gotta pop them out like that. In here you'll see this little extra valve that's under the shower, and this is in the down position. You're not going to be using that. That valve is only if you're dry camping and you have limited water in your tank. That's to recirculate hot water back to the tank so that you're not waiting for your water to warm up and you're wasting water. But when you're on city water, it doesn't get used. You just leave it off. So you could just disregard that little water saver valve there. It's not hooked up to city. It doesn't function. So you're just going to want to leave that in the off position. There's an outlet down here. It's another GFI outlet. This has just a foot pedal to flush it. It's your thermostat for the heating and cooling. So this is the thermostat for the unit. This is a 2-zone RV, so that means you've got 2 air conditioners. One's in the rear and the other's in the front. Now these air conditioners, they tie in to the same duct system. So even when one is running, keep in mind, it's still going to blow air out everywhere. You can, of course, open directly. So if you wanted to get it a little cooler, in the bedroom, then you may want to open on this air conditioner, and that will send a lot of air right out of this unit. But normally these are closed, and then you'll get airflow through the duct system. So when we're talking about the air conditioning on this unit, Zone 1 refers to this rear air conditioner, which is the the main living room area. That's Zone 1. And Zone 2 is the upstairs air conditioner, okay? So right now you'll see this says system off. If I tap system, so now it says system cool, and active zone 1, 2. That's telling me that I have this set right now for both air conditioners to come on. This is your temperature right here, up and down. So right now, I have it set to 59. In a second, you'll see that's going to change from 59 to 64. And that's telling me that it's 64 degrees currently in the unit where we're standing. So you can set the temperature to what you want there. If you tap the zone button, it's going to go to Zone 2. And the same thing, you can set your temperature upstairs as well. There is a separate temperature sensor up there, so if you wanted to, lower it a couple degrees, and it may get a little colder up there for you. Once you select Zone 1 or 2, so I'll go to Zone 1 for a second, the mode button is going to go through the different settings of the air conditioner. So right now you can see it says high cool, and there's a snowflake. There's also low cool, and low is going to lower the fan speed so that it quiets down a little bit. Okay, nighttime, you might want to do that. There's also an auto cool, and auto cool will automatically control the fan speed for you. So if it's really hot, it'll run it on high, but once it reaches your temperature, it'll shut itself off. And that's what auto means. It's going to run and then it's going to shut off. Whereas if you leave it on, you know, high cool, it's still going to reach your temperature, but then the fan will keep circulating the air inside the unit, so you have continuous ventilation. So you can run high cool, low cool, or auto cool. There's also a fan only setting. So if you go here, you see it says high fan, low fan. But one thing you'll notice now on fan, the snowflake icons disappeared and it changed to just a fan. So that's telling us that even though this is running right now, it's not actually producing any cold air. It's just running in ventilation mode. I'm going to put this back to high cool for you. And remember, again, this is on zone 1. I'm going to hit go to zone 2. And zone 2, you see right now, is just set to fan mode. I'll put this on to high cool also for you and leave it there. So that's the air conditioning zones. If we hit this system button now, you'll see it just changed from cool to heat. So what system does, system goes off, cool, heat, and then it goes back to off again. So I'm looking down the bottom here, system. Cool, heat, off. So if you want to run the heat in here, you're going to hit this so it goes to heat. So on this RV, there's also, well, of course, you have your fireplace back there. That's one way to make heat. The thermostat has two ways to make heat. You have your propane heater, which is common in all RVs. You know, every RV pretty much has a gas heater. That's the normal one. That's zone 1. Okay. Now zone 2 in this RV refers to electric heat. So if you're plugged in at the campground and you want to try to use electric, so you're not burning your propane, you're going to use zone 2. So I'll show you that briefly. So right now we're on zone 1, and you can see it says heat off. If I hit this mode button, you'll see it goes to gas heat. If I hit it again, it goes to electric heat, and if I hit it again, it goes to off. Now, one thing, just want you to keep in mind, zone 1 can only operate in the gas heat mode. So if you put zone 1 to electric heat, it's not going to do anything. You might hear the air conditioner come on, but it's not actually going to make any heat because that air conditioner is not capable of producing heat. Zone 1. Zone 1, you can only operate the gas heat. So now I'm on gas heat. You see there's a little flame, and that's telling us it's going to start to get warm in here. Your gas heat's ducted, so that comes through the floor. You see there's a duct there. There's a duct back here. And once you have gas heat on, then you set your temperature here like you do normally. So that's zone 1. Zone 1's gas heat. Just try to remember that. If I switch to zone 2 now, and you'll see it says heat off, and now I'm going to hit mode, and the same thing, it's going to go gas heat, electric heat, off. Now with zone 2, it's just the opposite. For zone 2, gas heat does not work. There's only one gas heater installed in this camper, and that's connected to zone 1. However, you do have an electric heat in zone 2. So zone 2, you can run electric heat. And that's going to use this front air conditioner which is equipped with a heating element. So now what we've done, we've turned that on to electric heat mode. And they're both going to run right now together. So zone 1, I have instructed gas heat to come on. In zone 2, I've instructed electric heat to come on. All right, so this is heating now through the floor. I'm getting heat out of the vents, and I have this air conditioning unit producing heat as well. So this thing's going to really heat up quick with both of those running. You don't have to use both. Again, if you're at the campground and it's 50 degrees and you want to try to save some propane, well, here's what I would do then. I would switch this to zone 1. I would kill this, so let's turn this to off. That shuts off my propane heat. Then you can just leave zone 2 running on electric heat mode. And now you'll get air, airflow. So remember, all the ducts are connected, so it's gonna blow heat all the way through those ceiling ducts. There's a button here to swing this open. You can get behind here. And back here you'll see there's a little green light and there's a switch. So that turns on and off the antenna. So if you wanted to use antenna, you would have that green switch in the on position. But if you go somewhere with cable, then you have to turn that to the off position. And this TV, pretty much when you move this to a new location, you're going to have to rescan for channels. So this is the remote for the rear TV. I'll boot this up and show you how to do it. So it's going to come up. You're going to click here, go into antenna TV. Once it's loaded, you'll see there's like a star. The little star key, that'll bring up your menu, so you can adjust, some of the settings in here and whatnot. We rescan this already, so we're getting all the, the local stations here off of the antenna. Now, if you go somewhere with cable, you're going to have to rescan for your channels. So, to rescan for channels, you're going to hit the home button here, and you're going to go over to where it says Antenna TV, and you're going to hit your star button. And it's going to come up and it's going to say scan for channels. So you have to do that if you go somewhere with cable, or if you're in another state, depending where you're camping, that's when you would adjust that. We've done it, so we basically have we have our local stations in this system ready to go. Right now we're still on radio mode. This is your radio down here, by the way. So this is where you would change your, change your radio stations. These buttons over here, 1, 2, 3, those are for the speakers. 1 is the living room, 2 is the bedroom, 3 is the outside. So you got 3 speaker zones you can turn on. I'm just gonna put 1 on for now. So that's FM mode. If you hit this mode button here, it's going to go to, there's also a Bluetooth mode. So if you have, some music on your phone or something like that, or actually if you wanted to use your Sirius XM, you can play it that way. There's some other port modes here. There's AV in, so you can plug in stuff to this. The one I want to show you and what I'm trying to get at is if you go all the way over, you got to keep hitting mode until you see
not the father.
Until you see HDMI ARC. And
Mr.
HDMI
Dexter
ARC
Robinson. You
stands for audio return channel, and that is for your TV sound. Otherwise you won't have sound. So you put that on HDMI ARC, and that gives you TV audio.
There has to be at least one more. I
Okay.
know that's a long time to think
This
back.
also has a CD
I
and
think you got
DVD
some
player
thinking to do. You
built
have
right
an
into the
amazing
top
young
of it.
man here.
You know, you just put your disc in, and this will automatically start to play. Okay. So that's pretty much everything up here. Another fan here. You got your, you know, we put the extender hook on, and then your fan control there. If you guys have any questions, just give us a call. Thanks.